people, my people, my people, my people, my people. My life has been full of defining moments. It's hard to find the words, but creativity means a lot to me. For me, creativity is all about choices. The choice to do what I know will be easy and moderately satisfying, or the choice to stop mid-thought and give myself and my ideas room to breathe. I'm actually drawn to the idea of struggling or fighting my way through to find my way to the highest and clearest thinking, knowing deep down, although a struggle, I will find a way to tap into my locked up creativity and create something that's equally rewarding. This may sound silly, but I think this is one of my favorite characteristics about myself. It gets me fired up every time I get the chance to create. When I was going through my own transformation, I heard something in a TED Talk that made me lean in and commit it to memory. The world isn't divided between creatives and non-creatives. We all have the ability to champion a creative spirit, and so this video is meant to show you my personal creative process and how it manifests. Hello, my name is Karan Verma, and welcome to the Love Handle. This is such an exciting video because I'm going to give you a sneak peek at what my own personal creative process is. At my channel, The Love Handle, we focus in on emotional intelligence. So while we're going through this video, I'd like you to lean in at moments where you think that I am expressing emotional intelligence towards myself. This is going to be a bedrock for some of the examples we explore in later videos. So I'm really excited to get into it, and let's get it. At the start of 2020, I took an international trip with my family to India and the United Arab Emirates. New Delhi was home base for about a week, and the rest of the trip was split between Dubai and Abu Dhabi. The day before the trip, I flew back from Nashville to Chicago and immediately created the following video as soon as I got home. This is a defining moment. This right here, it is 4:39 p.m. January 16th. My blood was on fire, my skin was itchy, and my ears were flush red while I was on this flight back. I don't know what came over me, but whenever I have one of these moments, it's usually an indication where I have to just get something out there and create something. I will be documenting my own creative process. As you can see, I was in a mood. I filmed myself all throughout the trip trying to document my live creative process. Now, this wasn't easy by any means, and certainly was a challenge. But when I got back stateside, I started to go through the footage and realized I was sitting with hours of film. So I sifted through all of the footage and decided to work in iterations. My first edit was 31 minutes, my second was 24, and my third was about 18. I wanted to go even further, but recognized that if I did, my message would have gotten diluted if I had kept going. I also realized that although I was proud of what I did, I don't think that it was the best that I could do. So I took a few days to grapple with the content and decided to iterate a new concept and show my creativity in a different way. That's this video. So here it is, my creative process. It follows a combination of principles and methodologies that I've learned from my favorite writers, designers, thought leaders, and even organizations. Step 1, it always starts with a struggle. Whether it is a thought, an emotion, or an action, it always starts with a struggle. Let's use my footage from my abroad trip as an example. while I was going through it, I was struggling to see how this would even be remotely interesting to anyone besides myself. I wasn't crazy about the footage and wish I would have done a few things differently. This struggle leads me to my next step. Step 2, contemplate. I like to contemplate the accuracy of what I was feeling and thinking. It gives me a chance to interject some logic into the situation and helps me realize that I may have some major privileges. Since this is a personal project, I get the chance to try again and brainstorm something different. That isn't always the case. Sometimes I am up against tight timelines and need to determine how to get the best product out as fast as possible. This brings me to my favorite but most difficult step, step 3, inspiration. I want to be inspired and re-energize myself around a topic and blast through any feelings of defeat I may have picked up during the struggle and contemplation step. I usually sit with pen and paper and at minimum document my problem, why it ticks me off, and what I'd like to see done differently. I open up my computer to start researching videos, articles, books, podcasts, regardless of the medium. I like to put in hours of work to find my inspiration. In the case of the abroad footage, I researched and refreshed my perspective by rereading my favorite creative methodologies like design thinking, and even mapped out a wireframe of my own creative process. The struggle, contemplation, and inspiration phase usually always happens in that order and can manifest over a few minutes, hours, or days. I love giving myself room to chew and digest what I'm feeling and thinking. Step 4, gun to my head moment. Next up is a critical step that I call my gun to my head moment. By the end of the inspiration phase, I'm usually left with ideas of all shapes and sizes. And sometimes my ideas can be so big and so lofty that they seem impossible to obtain. For example, before I started my personal brand, The Love Handle, and the daily series, My People, I contemplated a few ways to disseminate my message. When I first had the idea in 2017 of The Love Handle, I was extremely confused on what to do to get started. I immediately wanted to build an app and was momentarily convinced that this is what I needed to do to see success. But after thinking things through, I quickly realized that I didn't have deep enough pockets or the technical knowledge to start that way. So I decided to take a step back and asked myself, if I had a gun to my head, how could I get started today? This immediately helped me temper some of that ambition and helped me frame it within the context of logic and iteratively work through a number of ideas, including websites, blogs, microblogs, podcasts, and finally landed on video. Wow, video as a starting point. It just felt right. I had a phone with a camera and a presence on my own social media account, so this was enough to get me started. So this is actually one of my first versions of the daily series, My People, that I ever filmed. It's rewarding and energizing for me to watch because it makes me laugh and just appreciate the process. This video represents the next step. Step 5, create version 1 with micro iterations. My version 1 doesn't need to be anything fancy. It simply is a launch pad to get me started. So, to put this in the context of an example, when I started my People, I told myself to commit to creating a daily video for a year straight, and damn, did I do it. I am actually so proud and thankful that I did. I get the chance to look back at my start year and see how I tried different things. As my knowledge grew, so did my skills, and I attribute that learning to using microversioning, where I consistently made small and attainable changes. It was extremely important for me because it helped me get skin in the game. I've witnessed time and time again of watching others have a sudden brilliant idea or some sort of burst of energy around making a video. They immediately go out and buy things they might not necessarily need and try making a few ideas. Somewhere along the line, they realize it isn't exactly what they thought it'd be and honestly want to move in a different direction. Now that's A-okay, and that's not an issue if you would like to start that way. But what I've noticed is that it usually just leaves you with a bunch of gear that sits on a shelf. For a version 1, I like to work with what I have before going out and making big purchases. It teaches me patience, enforces mastery of some core skills, and helps me grow an appreciation for the process. Once I have a version 1 I am happy with, I get the chance to move to my next step, which is step 6. Share with trusted advisors and get feedback. I like to ask a select group of individuals their thoughts and impression of the version 1. They help me shine a light on things I may not have considered and help me get to my next version. I used to ask for input from just about anyone, but I found the feedback to be random and not as useful. So I decided to become more methodical when asking for feedback. While in the first year of launching the Love Handle, some of the initial feedback was pointed to the AVL, the audio, visual, and lighting in my videos. I took this feedback as a present and decided to widen my knowledge in cinematography and learn new editing skills. I experimented with simple tricks to improve my AVL and explored storytelling techniques that worked best for video. Taking this all into account is how I get to my next cut and edit. And I get there by cycling through a few familiar steps. Step 7, struggling and internalize the feedback with a smile. And 8, rework. Similar to step 1, getting to the next version usually requires me to struggle with the feedback and internalize it. It is important for me to go through this process again because it helps me challenge myself. Sometimes I get feedback that's so specific I know exactly what to do, but at the same time can have moments where I want to challenge it. I've come to learn that this is important for me and to me because it forces me to simply be thoughtful and be aware of the direction I am moving in. It is common and easy to let ourselves get upset and defensive when we hear candid feedback. And I myself fall victim to this, where I try to come up with answers to feedback that I've been given. But this usually comes off as being defensive and is personally a little bit of an ugly look on me. I personally feel like it can fuel any insecurities I may have in that moment. So when I receive feedback, I like to take it with a smile because it just helps me remember to be thankful for receiving it. The rework stage gets me ready for my second to last step. Step 9, publish. It doesn't take me long to determine if I'd like to publish a project or retain it for my own practice. I take a moment to check in with myself and just proceed forward. and both routes take me to my last step, which is step 10. Take away a few lessons and try again. This is when I know I'm in the home stretch of a project that I've been working on. I reflect upon what it took to get to this point and actually write down what I've learned along the way. It helps me start up the next project and gives me direction on how to improve. Keeping the momentum is essential, so I try my best not to wait too long before I jump into my next project or idea. Leaving too much room to breathe makes starting pretty damn hard and difficult. Something that I've been recently telling myself is that I am allowed to stop. I am allowed to stop. I just have to remember how to start again. This part of my life is extremely personal, and I absolutely love my creative process because, in all honesty, I know deep down this is what it's going to take to make me better, and more importantly, give me the creative spirit so that I can use it in my real life and offer creative perspectives when I'm faced with difficult situations. Thank you for staying until the end of this video, and please reach out on Instagram if you have any questions or need any help discovering your own creative process. This, again, is extremely important to me and really will serve as a strong example to how we can offer emotional intelligence to ourselves. And again, that's how you start emotional intelligence. You have to start with yourself before offering it to other people. Peace, love, happiness. I will see you next time, my people. See ya.